AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. I'm Matt.
Hey, Will.
Hey, bud.
Our bud. So happy our bud's back. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You sir. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right. We're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Oh, by the way, it's a hump day. Hey.
It's hump day.
Let's hump, everybody.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
There's a comma in there.
Hump day.
Let's hump, comma, everybody. Period.
It's hump day.
Punctuation matters, Muse.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
It does. It really, really does.
Really misconstrue a meaning there.
It's hump day.
Otherwise.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
A Shea Dixon in 12 minutes.
Hump day.
Allegedly.
It's hump day.
Next on NCIS. No, not NCIS. That's the one that has a lot of other cities in it as well, too, right? It's like NCIS New Orleans.
Yeah, they've been in a bunch of places.
Law and Order, LSU.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
We've located Shea Dixon.
Hump day.
Did he forget about his radio hit?
It's hump day.
Did he take another job?
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Was he lying face down in a gutter somewhere?
Hump day.
We'll let him explain next.
It's hump day.
Burge Osbury in studio with us next hour.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Ross Jackson, hour 3.
Hump day.
All right, a lot to do. Let us get kicking here because we have some not awesome stuff to talk about to start the show. So let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Sheesh. LSU lost to a SWAC school last night. A good team by the Bethune-Cookman. They're the best team in the SWAC. Still lost to a SWAC school. It's baseball, and you show up in a baseball game and you decide to walk a couple of runs in and plunk a couple of dudes and commit a 2-run error, all in the same inning. That's how you turn a 6-5 lead into a 10-6 deficit. LSU season is inevitably going to end in disappointment, right? There's only one team whose season ends with a bunch of people happy. And that's probably not going to be LSU this year. Big leap there, right? I know. But when it ends, as it inevitably will, we're going to look at what happened in the 7th inning on Tuesday and go, yep, that's going to be the thing that costs LSU its season whenever that comes. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're not making the postseason, they're not hosting a regional, they're not going to Omaha, because all that stuff is possible. It's baseball. We've seen it all before. Hunt's got a great piece up at LouisianaSports.net where he brings up a lot of those examples. It's not a sunshine pumping piece. It's the reality of baseball. You've played 12 conference games. You have 18 to go. You're not even at the halfway point of conference play. Last year, Florida started 1-11 in conference play, made the postseason. 2 years ago, LSU was 3-12 at the halfway point. They were a blown save with their best pitcher on the mound away from winning the Chapel Hill Regional and hosting a Super. It happens. I mean, Ole Miss was 3-win team at the halfway point of conference play and went on to win the national championship. They rode Dylan DeLucia and Hunter Elliott to a natty. They got hot behind those two guys. They were literally the last at-large team in the field, won the national championship. It's baseball. Things happen. So there's a long way to go and a lot of things this team can still accomplish. But if you weren't watching, and I'm hopeful many of you weren't. I was. Use was. And a lot of you, I'm sure, were because you love this baseball team. But that was a hideous game. And it started so well. Marcos Paz, 5 pitches to get through the first. And you're like, yes. And then the Tigers put up a 2-spot in the bottom of the first. And you're like, yes. Except you realize they also ran themselves into 2 outs, including committing the third out of the inning at third base, which the old adage in baseball you learn when you're 7, you don't make the first or the third out of the inning at third base because you're already in scoring position. But there's Seth Dardar making the third out of the inning at third base. So you blew an opportunity to have an even bigger bottom of the first. And it went back and forth. They took a lead on 6 singles which in the second, which I can live with. Don't walk them. Make them swing the bat. It's not very likely teams are going to put up a crooked number because they're just not going to hit 6 singles in an inning. Bethune-Cookman did in the second. But then things went bad. LSU tied it and then took the lead, and then they hit a homer to tie it, and then Curiel came up with a nice RBI knock to give LSU a 5-4 lead. And then you hit a guy, there's an error on the pitcher, a double, and you're tied at 5. And then Jake Brown homered to go up 6-5. And you're like, okay. Credit Bethune-Cookman. They kept coming back, but the 7th was just ugly. Maverick Rizzi walked in a couple of runs. Again, you plunked a couple of guys. Dardar committed a 2-run error at second base, and you came out of that inning down 10-6. And to add injury to insult, you also got Chris Stanfield hurt in that inning, half inning after Dardar was injured sliding into second base. What we know about this team is they don't throw enough strikes, and they're really bad defensively. And when you do that and you're inconsistent offensively, you're going to have some disappointing days. And yesterday was a disappointing day. And that's ultimately what's going to cost this team its season, whenever that is. Now, a couple of things. More important than the result of that game is Chris Stanfield. So if you weren't watching, Bethune-Cookman tripled to left. It was the second hitter of the 7th inning. And Stanfield was attempting to make a running catch. He didn't come up with the ball, and he crashed into the wall with his left hand first. That's the hand that was injured sliding into home in Game 2 that cost him 16 games of this season. You are at your best with Chris Stanfield in the lineup. I think we've all seen that. He's your best option defensively in left field. When you didn't have him, you had this weird rotation of Daniel Harden, who is a left fielder or an outfielder, and then infielders like Braden Simpson and Tanner Reeves trying to play left, and it was just not very good. Didn't they put Braun in left at one point as well? I mean, it wasn't good. You're at your best with Stanfield in the lineup. He can lead off for you. He can hit in the 9-hole. He's versatile. He's got 500 career at-bats. Jay Johnson met with reporters on Wednesday and was asked for an update on Stanfield. And Dardar, by the way, who was a scary moment when Dardar was sliding into second. It was a late slide, and his leg jammed, and it looked awful. Thankfully, he got up and continued, but it looked terrible in the moment. But here was Jay Wednesday with the update.
Neither of them broke anything, so that's a real positive. Now, what they can do, I don't know yet, because they got beat up pretty good in the 2 instances.
So you are going on the road to Ole Miss, and 2 veteran players that are starters are up in the air for you going into this weekend and what they might be able to do. So Jay's never really forthcoming with injury. We'll just all wait and see. Hopefully, they're both able to play. In particular, Stanfield, I think, is critical to your success. But this was not a great day. There were some good things. One of the things that we talked about yesterday on the show that I think all of us wanted to see was Yaman and Braun get an opportunity to play more. They'd earned that opportunity. Well, Yaman was 1 for 2. He got hit by 2 pitches and he walked. He was on base 4 times. That's awesome. And in the 9th, when you were down with 2 outs, he got plunked and he sort of threw his bat and yelled at the dugout. Like, I love the level of give a damn in that moment. So, hat tip Eddie Yaman. He deserves more opportunity. Whether that's at first base, catcher, DH, needs to be part of the rotation. We'll see what happens with Cerna if he's able to go this weekend. Hopefully he is. And then Braun was 1 for 3. Was also hit by a pitch, so he got on base a couple of times. You're looking for an option at first other than York, who continues to struggle. I would play Braun because, as we've talked about the high ceiling, I would love to see him get more opportunities. Aaron Beatty stayed hot. He had a double off the wall in center that was 5 feet away from a homer to center. It was a missile. Brown homered, also hit a single off the wall. Curiel had 3 hits in the game, all singles, all over the field, by the way. He hit each single to all fields. So that's when Curiel's at his best. And we did ground into a double play. He did ground out to the right side. And I don't need him being a dead pull hitter, but the fact that you are seeing Curiel spray the ball is more indicative of him getting back into his zone, and he's now got his batting average up to 368. So those are good things, and those are things you need to see for this team to keep having success on SEC weekends. But I don't know that you wave a magic wand and get better defensively. And unless Nate Yeske has some type of magic wand where he can all of a sudden get Maverick Rizzi throwing the ball over the plate and get a lot more command from the staff, it's just going to be a lot of disappointment continuing and a disappointing end of the season whenever it is. But Tigers have a great opportunity this weekend. Going to Ole Miss. You can hit the halfway point of conference play, perhaps with 8 league wins if you go win this series, which would be fantastic to be above 500. We've talked about, I think your target right now has to be 16. If you can go 10-8 in your remaining SEC games, hit 16 and 14 in conference play, you should be a regional host. And if that's the case, you've got a great chance to play yourself into a super. And if you get into a super, it's the best 2 out of 3, and you go try to win a weekend. So it's baseball. You got opportunities, but this team has some fatal flaws which continue to reveal themselves that ultimately will be what cost this team its season, whenever that may be. All right, we're brought to you by our friends over at Bud Light. Show Up and Every Day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, the official beer of the Tigers. Remember, whether you're at the box, if you're at Tiger Park, if you're at the PMAC, if you're at your house, if you're at a bar, restaurant, wherever you are, make sure you ask for it by name, drink delicious ice-cold Bud Light, and support the Tigers, the official beer of AFR, the official beer of your Fighting Tigers of LSU. Our friends over at Mockler have been great supporters of the Tigers and great community partners for 4 decades. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR. Okay, we missed Shea yesterday. We have found him, allegedly, and he's set to join us next. Talk some Cruton. It's AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by the Watermark in the Renaissance. Watermark downtown, Renaissance Southtown. Hey, the Tigers have a home series next weekend. Maybe make part of your baseball weekend getting downtown to Watermark Baton Rouge. So many great opportunities to do that. Maybe have Sunday brunch at the Gregory and then pop on over to the box. Or, maybe you pregame a little bit at the lobby bar at Watermark and then pop over to the box. Super convenient to LSU's campus. Watermark is at the corner of 3rd and Convention. And there's always great events going on downtown, be it at the River Center or the River Center Theater. Bob Dylan's playing at the River Center Theater in a few weeks. Why not make that an event downtown where it's walking distance from River Center Theater to the Watermark, have dinner at the Gregory, go watch Bob Dylan, stay downtown. Great opportunities always, and of course they can host any event no matter the size. Baton Rouge's original high-rise in downtown. Check it out. It's Watermark Baton Rouge.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Next on Law and Order LSU, we found Shea Dixon. Shea, what's up, man?
Are we on air or are we just hanging out?
No, we're live on air. Radio, YouTube, podcast, WBTR television, all over. We're just so glad you're here, man. I was worried yesterday.
Yeah, you and my wife. I could either, I was going to come up with, I Googled it, right? Nice Borat. I Googled it to see if there was anywhere in the world where right now it was Tuesday. And I was just going to say that I was there, despite the fact that you did see me hours before radio yesterday.
Yeah.
But the earliest I could find, Baker Island, it's about 7 or 8 in the morning, which is pretty far, southwest of Honolulu, somewhere in the South Pacific. So it's Wednesday everywhere. It's Thursday in some places. So let's just be honest. I laid down for a little nap and just slept right through everything.
That's okay. I respect the show prep, by the way, looking up all the time zones and everything. That's really good. And it allows us the opportunity to do the Chung Chung bit.
And I got a little more recruiting. If now we can talk about a 5-star and stuff like that. See, we couldn't have done that yesterday.
Let's do it. So 5-star, number 1 offensive tackle, Mark Matthews, currently on LSU's campus. Give us the tea. Spill the tea.
Right. Yeah. I should stick to my honesty. We could have done this yesterday. He's on a 2-day stay. So he was at practice yesterday. And then he was still up there all day today. But yeah, 6'5", 300. Yeah. I mean, Matt, yes, number 1 offensive lineman, number 1 OT, but top 5 player in this current class. So all these kids are rising seniors, and he's playing down at St. Thomas Aquinas, Fort Lauderdale. So I mean, I bet they have double-digit kids signed D1 every year, and Miami is considered the favorite here. But he did, right before he got to campus, trim what I presume to be probably like 5,000 offers down to Miami, LSU, Georgia, and Texas A&M. So those schools are going to get visits beyond these stops now. They'll get official visits, and we'll kind of see. This was his first really dive into LSU. So once he leaves campus, we'll get a feel for kind of where LSU stacks up against not just Miami, but A&M and Georgia.
Let's talk about another 5-star that was on campus that everybody here knows good and well, and that's Easton Royal. Shea, we know he's committed to Texas. Kiffin had the photo with him up on the coach's balcony. Any movement in the Easton Royal recruitment?
Yeah, look, I'll give you what Sam Spiegelman at Rivals said when he caught up with Easton, and what Easton said. And we saw that Easton tweeted, these lane balcony photos are becoming sort of infamous now. Like anyone who's anyone, if you get that photo, you've gotten your offer, you're a big time player. So Easton shared one of them two out there, and just hashtag just different, right? Which is the go-to slogan for Lane. And he ended up staying a couple days last week. He had visited a number of SEC schools. So committed to Texas, goes to Brother Martin, be a senior there. So a New Orleans kid, but is making all of these visits to where it's like, if he were committed to LSU right now, right, Matt, and in-state kid, all that, but he's visiting Texas and Florida and Georgia, like you'd be like, okay, well, let's see how this plays out. So that's kind of how Texas is viewing it. And LSU, I think, used this weekend to really surge, because we're still in those early days of when we are talking kids on offense. This staff is new on offense with a new head coach that is offensive minded. So a kid like Easton Royal spending a couple days on campus during spring ball is going to be his first really big introduction to the staff now that they're at LSU. And what he told Sam was this. He said, I loved everything about it. He said, completely different vibes and energy in the building is what he said. And I presume that means compared to the prior staff on, Brian Kelly era. And he said, everybody in the building is always competing, especially Kiffin. And he watched practice, and look, we get to see the media periods. You had Todd McClure on. He talked a good bit about it, but from a high school perspective, Easton said, hey, look, I thought it was a lot more physical than last year. And he said even the tension between guys you could see was kind of leveled up just because of the competition. And then obviously he mentioned tempo. Everyone's flying around. And he had talked to a bunch of his buddies on the team afterwards who had said the same thing that all the players are saying, that it's taxing on the body. They are worn out after every practice. But Easton described it. Here's his words: intentional, physical, short, fun. So perhaps that's the Lane Kiffin motto: intentional, physical, short, and fun.
Shea Dixon's with us on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Get him at Shea Dixon. Another Texas commit that was visiting LSU this past Saturday is Greedy James. What can you tell us about him?
Yeah, Greedy James is a kid who plays over in Manville. He's in Texas. He committed to Texas back in December. I think it was like the 3rd. So what was that, like a few days after Lane even got the job? But he's a 3-star corner. I'm going to guess his rankings rise a bit when these next updates come out after senior film, because this is the guy Texas wanted. He's got a number of offers. And Corey Raymond wanted to get him in town, get a look at him again, kind of spend some time around him, and made the offer. And look, Greedy's dad is a St. Aug grad. He's got family in New Orleans. He said he's got family really all over Louisiana. So he said, I grew up an LSU fan. This was kind of a major opportunity for me. And this was sort of his first kind of deep dive into LSU, but on the other side of the ball, hanging out with Corey Raymond, hanging out with the defensive coaches. And then he said he got to spend a good amount of time with Kiffin. So as the board comes together here, right, like we've known all along, Josh Dobson was that number 1 corner thereafter with Corey Raymond. And then you've got some guys in state that they're kind of looking at, but out of state beyond kind of that number 1 target 5-star who emerges. And now we see a kid who's got ties to Louisiana, who's playing in East Texas, get an LSU offer before camp even gets here, which Corey Raymond doesn't do that often.
You say it's interesting, these parallels. Easton Royal is from Louisiana, committed to Texas. Greedy James is also originally from Louisiana, who's currently committed to Texas. A kid from Texas who is at LSU this past weekend, who's currently committed to Georgia, is Aiden Starling. What can you tell us about Aiden?
He's another one that is he committed, like you said, from Texas, committed to Georgia. God, I'm looking at now the 4th. So the day after Greedy James committed to Texas, he committed to Georgia, the 4th of December. Wide receiver, 6 foot, in that 160 range. He's a 3-star kid, but has offers from everybody. Committed to Georgia, that tells you enough.
Sure.
Texas, the in-state schools have offered him. But Ole Miss had offered him already before this staff got here. So when the staff got here, they kind of re-offered him, got him in town this past weekend. And he told us, look, that the visit went great. It really, for him, put LSU in a new light. His quote, they made a huge jump. He said from family environment to kind of Kiffin and George McDonald, the receivers coach. He feels like the bond they've had over the phone and stuff like that really carried over to in person. And he sort of said, hey, look, I really like the practice. I kind of like the culture there. Now, committed to Georgia, still committed there, but will be one to watch. And kind of the deeper underlying thing here is that he goes to Shadow Creek, and that's where Joe Adai's son goes. That's where Brandon LaFell's son goes. And they're 2 of the best young prospects in the country. So Starling's about to be a senior. Adai's about to be a junior. LaFell's about to be a sophomore. So if somehow they grab a kid like Starling into this class, you're all of a sudden, no matter what, you're thinking you're a front runner for Joe Adai's son, for Brandon LaFell's son. They could put 3 straight classes together of Shadow Creek kids, which is coming out of Pearland, that is a pretty good program to pull anyone out of when Texas and A&M and Texas Tech, all these teams all want him. SMU, everybody that's in Texas and can work with the NIL side of things.
They're going to wear out that path to Pearland, which, if you don't know, Pearland is a suburb just south of Houston, and Shadow Creek is a massive school there. When we were there with Drew in the hospital, we'd spent a lot of time in Pearland, and it's a big spot. By the way, LaFell and Adai's kids are already almost committable prospects. That's just unbelievable. I mean, how fast time goes. Like, you're talking about Ahmad Hudson, right? And Antonio Hudson playing at LSU, and that's his son now. Jay, I guess we're just in like this era where this is we got to get used to now, man. Seeing all these former LSU guys' kids playing now.
Yeah, we've been. I think we've already been there, Matt. You and I. But I will say,
Yes.
look. So, Brandon LaFell's son, BJ, is ranked as an athlete. He plays both sides of the ball. But he's gonna, like I said, he's a freshman, about to be a sophomore, so not ranked yet. But has all the offers, right? Like everybody already knows he's legit. Jalen Adai, Joseph's son, is a wide receiver, 6'1", 167, and he is about to be a junior in high school at Shadow Creek. He's a top 10 player in the country.
Oh, geez.
And he's the number one prospect in Texas. So you hope, fingers crossed. Joe Adai sure does love him some LSU. I'm sure he'll let his son go through the process. But boy, already Jalen speaks very highly of LSU just because obviously he grew up around it.
All right, Shea, last one I want to ask about. The last prospect I want to ask about that was here for practice on Saturday is Abraham Cisse. He's uncommitted. It's interesting because he's out of Pennsylvania, right? So there's this question about how much focus on Louisiana border states, how much focus on a national recruiting perspective. So what can you tell us here about Cisse?
Yeah, you said it right now. Notre Dame's considered. I mean, he's from Pennsylvania, so Notre Dame is the team kind of considered the one to beat. And then after that, it's Penn State, it's Ohio State. It's the teams that are in that neck of the woods. But he told Wiltfong at Rivals that it was a big weekend for LSU because beyond those schools up there, he's looked at South Carolina, he's looked at Florida State, and then he took a look at LSU, and he kind of gave the impression that, hey, look, they kind of moved ahead of the others and now are competing with the teams that are up in my area, which is kind of all you can ask for at this point. An unofficial visit. He said he will be back for an official. He also wants to come for a game, but you're talking about a kid who's a top 50 player and a top 5 edge rusher in the country. And look, we've seen them offer tons of California kids. They've got a commitment from South Carolina's number one prospect right now. So, going after a kid in Pennsylvania, just getting him to campus, take a swing if he's interested, and it seems that he is, and you'll get him back for an official visit. But yeah, a junior in high school who's 6'5", 225 and coming off the edge. So you invite him in, right, Matt? Yeah, you don't turn that down.
Shea, we're glad you're okay and well rested.
Well, happy Tuesday, Matt. Thanks for having me on, and let's catch up soon.
We'll do it we'll do it in 6 days, Shea, not 7. We'll do it on Tuesday. Thank you. That is Shea Dixon. Yep, from On 3, the Bengal Tiger. Thanks, Shea.
Bye, Matt.
All right, we'll see. It's after further review. Brought to you by Rouse's, official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. 76 locations from Lake Charles to Orange Beach. You know where the Rouse's nearest you is. If you don't, well, I probably should. I mean, you've probably passed it a million times because there's Rouse's everywhere. But you can go to rouses.com to find the location nearest you. Always encourage you to check out their Facebook page because they always have great deals posted there, like a great BOGO day going on right now. Buy one, get one free. It's 2 for the price of 1. How about BOGO on Eggos? Oh, let's go BOGO. Chobani, the big old 32-ounce large Chobani yogurt tubs, BOGO. Welch's fruit snacks, Erica loves those, BOGO. Who am I kidding? I do too. Check it out. You can always get great deals if you're making groceries. Of course, you need dinner for the whole family. Crawfish, they got everything. It's Rouse's. Rouses.com. Rouse's. This feels like home. All right, it's after further review. Glad you're hanging out with us here on a Hump Day edition of AFR presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Verge Osbury's in studio with us in 45 minutes. So we'll look forward to having LSU's athletic director in studio. Verge's been a great friend of the show for a lot of years, and we'll be glad to have him in studio. I want to talk Rev Share. I want to talk about Lane Kiffin. I want to talk about Will Wade, all the stuff. So we'll do that with Verge coming up here next hour. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll go around the SEC. We also have to delve a bit into the NCAA's eligibility proposal. If you haven't heard about this, it would be a landmark change in eligibility rules if it passes. We'll get to it. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Man, if you're a business owner, you probably always look, and I know this from experience, you're always looking for ways that you might be able to help affect the bottom line. And sometimes there's so many hidden costs in your business you're just not aware of. Things you might be, services you might be paying for that you're unaware of or overpaying for. Let me recommend you give Rev a shout. Whoever you currently have your internet with, or your internet service provider, maybe you have phone, security, home or business automation, cable, all of that, whoever you currently have, if it's not Rev, call Rev and get a quote. Because what if you could save hundreds, thousands a month, or thousands of dollars a year to help your bottom line? It's worth a shot to a local company, letsrev.com. Letsrev.com.
After Further Review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Remember, you can always text me, 225. It's 396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. That's my personal text line. You can text our station at any point, any of the shows, at 225-499-1045. John Bourne said, Matt, any Otterlocks Masters picks yet? Yes, as a matter of fact. Of course, the Masters starts tomorrow in Augusta, and I was sent today, just before I came on air, the pick, so we'll get them posted up at louisianasports.net, and there are always a plethora of picks. Remember, everything at louisianasports.net is always free. If you go to the sports betting section, you'll see Otterlocks, and you'll see all the sports betting content there. And interestingly, I got in my inbox today two things that you might actually really find interesting with regard to the NFL draft. And one of the things we always talk about with Jimmy here with the draft is how it's very hard to get great value in betting the NFL draft because the information now has gotten so good that it's just very rare that Vegas or the odds makers don't know what's coming. So I always find that interesting to see as we get closer to the draft what's likely or probable. And so I got in my inbox today an update on the odds for which player is going to go at each of the top 10 picks. So naturally, I was looking, okay, what are the odds at 8? And then what are the odds for Mansour Delane and all of the different draft slots 1 through 10? If you're wondering, you can go read this up at louisianasports.net if you want. But the draft odds favor the New Orleans Saints at 8, taking Carnell Tate, the Ohio State wide receiver. So he's the betting favorite to go 8th overall at plus 325. That means you bet $100, you'd win 325. Reuben Bain is just behind him at plus 350. Then Mansour Delane at plus 550, followed by Caleb Downs, David Bailey, and then a lot of longer shots, Mekhi Lemon, Jordan Tyson, Jermon McCoy, others. So it would stand to reason it's probably going to be one of those 5 players, unless if the Saints are thinking something completely off the reservation or they trade out of the pick. It's not to say that whoever selects at 8 wouldn't take one of those 5 if the Saints traded up or back, which they're not likely to do. But the idea of Carnell Tate going 8 overall to New Orleans, I love that idea. I mean, I've told you my preference is if the Saints stick at 8, if they take one of receiver, cornerback, edge rusher. If they do that at 8, I'll be over the moon. I think Tate would be my favorite play there because you're talking about a dude with great size who's 6'3", but also has breakaway speed. So, I mean, that is the super rare elite level receiver that has the complement of the size and the speed and the playmaking ability. So if they pull the trigger on Carnell Tate at number 8 overall, I'd be pumped. If it's not Tate, I'd love it to be Mansour Delane. And I'm not necessarily, it's not just an LSU homer pick. You've heard me say this. I think Kool-Aid McKinstry is not a number 1 lockdown. I think he's a good starting corner in the NFL, but I think he's a 2. And that would allow you to move Quincy Riley into the slot after losing Alontae Taylor. So I think that would just be a very natural progression if you went corner. So those would be my top 2 options. Of course, that's subject to change based on what or who is on the board. But for now, the draft odds have the most likely scenario with the Saints at 8 taking Carnell Tate. He's the betting favorite there. We'll tell you what they favor for Monster Delane coming up a bit later in the show. We're brought to you by First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. If you're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. Y'all, we're a little more than a week away from tax day, right at a week away from tax day, April 15th. And when tax day comes, it's a reminder for a lot of us that you're looking for great tax deduction opportunities. And maybe for next year, this year in 2026, that's owning land. As a landowner, you're going to incur expenses. So ask your CPA the benefits of owning recreational timber land. First South Farm Credit can help. If you're thinking of buying land, be it for that investment property, if you're thinking of buying land to build your family's dream home, maybe you want to work in the city but enjoy the rural lifestyle at home. Maybe you need 1,000 acres for agriculture. You're looking for the hunting property in Mississippi or Texas. Your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthland.com. FirstSouthland.com. Okay, do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference, the Georgia Bulldogs.
Georgia offensive lineman Dontrell Glover is battling a minor injury here in spring. He started 12 games as a freshman last year for the Bulldogs. Been quiet, but Kirby Smart did disclose the injury, did not disclose what type of injury it is. Georgia's used sophomore Juan Gaston, along with a few freshmen at the guard spots this spring.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
Brent Venables gave an update on running back Xavier Robinson. Suffered a calf strain in practice last week. Said that he's going to be out for the remainder of spring. With Robinson out, as well as Torrey Blaylock, who had shoulder surgery this offseason, OU's got only 3 scholarship running backs available right now in spring.
The Auburn Tigers.
Auburn is moving forward on the Jordan-Hare Stadium project. We got formal approval from the Board of Trustees to approve funding for construction of a multi-purpose center in the north end zone of Jordan-Hare. Would cost approximately $305 million. The board is set to vote on that April 17th.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Troy Henderson is returning to Tennessee basketball instead of entering the transfer portal. The freshman announced on his social media that he was going to transfer but never officially entered the portal. Now announced he is staying with the Vols. Played 28 games in a reserve role as a freshman.
Texas A&M!
And shooting guard Ruben Dominguez is entering the transfer portal. Remember, he spent 1 season in College Station after playing professionally overseas, one of those weird situations. He was granted 2 years of eligibility after his time overseas, so he's got 1 season left to play college basketball, wherever that may be. All right, there you have it. That is around the SEC. Hump Day shows are brought to you by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com. Well, now I got a quick break. Wrap up hour number 1. The NCAA is looking at a potentially groundbreaking eligibility proposal. We'll talk about it next on AFR.
After further review.
And our Hump Day shows are brought to you by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com. Yes, they do ED treatments. They do so much more than that. The thing that I really want to hammer home, guys, is hormone replacement therapy. Get your blood labs drawn. Like, I'd get my blood labs drawn twice a year anyway. You should do that anyway if you're keeping up with your health. But a simple blood test can let you know if you're a candidate for HRT. And every single human, all of us, no one is excluded. As we age, our body produces less of the hormones that contribute to how we feel. You can safely, affordably supplement to get your body feeling better and to be healthier. So, book that consultation at Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. They're on Drusilla in Baton Rouge. Go meet with Gabe, have your blood draw, go over your labs. They'll get a plan together how they can safely and affordably supplement you to get you to healthy levels. So visit yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com. And if you're already on HRT with another clinic, it's time to switch. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
I'm glad you're rolling aboard with us here. Verge Osbury is going to be in our studio in 25 minutes from right now. Looking forward to that conversation with LSU's athletics director. Ross Dellinger over at Yahoo reported earlier today that the NCAA is set to consider a really significant proposal that could alter the landscape of college sports. I don't mean for that to be hyperbolic. I mean that this will change things if passed and enacted, and maybe even more importantly than just passed and enacted, if it's passed, enacted, and then the rule followed by its member institutions. But the NCAA is proposing changes to the eligibility rules. In effect, you would have 5 to play 5. And the eligibility would begin at the student athlete's 19th birthday or when they graduated high school, whichever came first. So this would eliminate transfers. This would eliminate red shirts. This would eliminate medical red shirts. This would eliminate waivers. This would eliminate all of those exceptions. The only outliers would be maternity leave, military service, or religious missions. That's it. No other exceptions. So you're in your third year of college, you tear your ACL after the second game, you're not getting that year back. You got 5 to play 5, not 5 to play 4. You can play 5 full seasons, 5 to play 5, and that's it. The clock starts when you turn 19 or when you graduate high school. That's it. No exceptions. What do you think of that? Not rhetorical. Let me know your thoughts. Email me, tweet me, text me. Of course, you could text our show text line, 225-499-1045, 499-1045. If you're not familiar, we now have a text line for the entire radio station. So any of our shows throughout the day, 225-499-1045. Like, not rhetorical. I would like to know your thoughts because I don't believe necessarily there's a right or wrong, good or bad. I think anybody could have a lot of different considerations when it comes to this. My reaction is 2 things. Number one, I'm for it because it creates uniformity. And I think that's a good thing. The waiver process can be ambiguous. How many times have you said, well, why did the NCAA grant that player a waiver but not that player a waiver? Well, this would eliminate that. There is no waiver. There's no waiver process. It is hard and fast. There are no waivers. There are no red shirts. There are no medical red shirts. You have 5 to play 5, period. That's it. So in the context that it creates uniformity, I like it. I don't know that needs to be what it is, 5 to play 5 from high school graduation to year 18 or age 19, whatever's first, whatever. I just like that there's uniformity, that everyone going in would know this is the rule and that's it. Don't come to me with a waiver. Sorry you got injured. Sorry you had a sick family member and so you moved and it cost you a season. That would be, the hardship waivers that often get applied for, that sometimes those get manipulated and abused. None of that. 5 to play 5, that's it. The bigger question, in my opinion, is if the universities would actually accept and abide by the rule. Because that's a problem we have right now, right? Like, we can look at Trinidad Chambliss and quarterback from Tennessee. Blanked on it. What's his name?
Nico Iamaleava?
No.
Joey Aguilar?
Aguilar. So, Chambliss had his waiver denied by the NCAA. Went to court and won. Aguilar had his waiver denied by the NCAA. Went to court and lost. Both had their waiver denied by the NCAA. If the University of Mississippi and the University of Tennessee, if their presidents, their leadership said, hey, we're member institutions of the NCAA, and the NCAA says you're not eligible, sorry, you're not eligible. But they don't do that. Why? They want to win. So they can make money and get notoriety and all that sort of stuff. So they say, we don't care what the NCAA says, let's go to court. So they go to court. And one guy won and one guy lost because state laws are different, and you're different, and you're at the jurisdiction of a certain judge, and that's why you have so much difference. But the NCAA rule is still the NCAA rule. Schools aren't abiding by it. So you can put in a 5 to play 5 with no waivers and all that sort of stuff, but if the schools are not going to abide by that rule, it don't matter. I mean, you could have a rule book the size of Yellow Pages, but if the schools aren't going to respect your ability to enforce your rules, then you're toothless. You're feckless. That's what the NCAA is right now. So we may all like this 5 to play 5 thing, but if the schools aren't going to abide by it, it doesn't matter. That's the real question. Will the schools actually abide by the NCAA's rules? Because right now, they ain't doing it. And that's not on the players or the judges or anybody. That's on university leadership who could put an end to this, but they won't. Because as much as they like to tout how much they're about education and all that sort of stuff, they're all about money and attention and winning, and they need good football players to do that, which is why you continue to see these cases like this and Bediako coming back from the G League and all that absurdity. All right. Hump Day edition of AFR Sports Center is next. Stick around, it's AFR.
After further review.
We're brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, LMFJ.com. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Man, I love telling you about Lee Michaels because I love going to Lee Michaels, and I love chatting with my friends at Lee Michaels because what they do is they have perfected, of course they have great product, okay? I mean, like Scott goes all over the world to India, to the finest diamond mines in the world, and has been doing it for years and decades to bring the best diamonds in the world here to the 9 Lee Michaels locations. So the quality of the product is undeniable. But they're so good at creating a buying atmosphere. Let's be honest. You and I don't walk into jewelry stores to buy diamonds or find jewelry every day. That's not something we're familiar with. They know that, and they don't want you to feel uncomfortable. They want you to walk in and to not have a high-pressure situation and to feel like you can try on 1,000 rings if you want and not be pressured to buy. Just walk through the door. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry.